the Deep Probe, the SMNI Presidential Candidates Interview. Kilalanin na natin ang ating next presidential candidate at alamin natin kung paano niya haharapin ang iba't ibang problema ng bansa.
Naging National Security Advisor at Defense Secretary noong Arroyo Administration, kung saan pinangunahan ang usaping pangkapayapaan sa pagitan ng gobyerno at ng mga rebelde. Ngayong halalan, sasabak para maging susunod na Pangulo ng bansa, tangan-tangan ang iba't ibang reforma para sa ikauunlad ng Pilipinas.
Kaya structural changes sa political system ang uunahin ko. Huwag nating ipatong sa balikat ng mga maliliit ang malaking problema na hinaharap ng bansa. Ako po, inaalay ko ang aking sarili upang ibigay ang aking mga karanasan sa loob ng 6 na taon. Iahanda natin ang sambayan ng Pilipino para ang ating direksyon ay patungo sa pagiging first world.
Mula sa Partido Demokratiko Sosyalista ng Pilipinas, Norberto Gonzales.
Good evening, Secretary Gonzales. To our panelists, you may now start asking questions.
Yes, good afternoon, Secretary Bert, a personal friend and a colleague. I think I may shift away from foreign policy trajectory as before, and I would like to focus on political reform, which is so close to my heart. I think you know that for so many decades now, I've been pushing structural reforms, which are supposed to engender behavioral change. In the additional handout that we got from you, you talked about a presidential parliamentary hybrid. Can you elaborate on what this looks like?
Well, this is more, if you are looking for models, probably France and even Malaysia. What I'm thinking is, well, this will be a discussion among our people. I am for a parliamentary system, but I'm not certain whether we would want our president to still be elected nationally or not. That's why I'm still looking in the possibility of a hybrid, that we may have a president that our people may want to elect themselves, rather than just have a prime minister in a parliamentary system. That's why I put there in our program the possibility of a hybrid, but doesn't mean it will be a hybrid. I'd like to take this up with our people.
But if you adopt the French political system, indeed the Prime Minister is almost like, we don't even know who he is right now. We just know Macron. But I guess if we shift to our parliamentary system, because you said here that you want either a pure parliamentary system or the hybrid, which I wanted some elaboration on. But I think in a pure parliamentary system, you really don't pay attention to the chief of state, but you pay attention to the head of government, who is the premier. And I think we've had some discussions on this, that if you want some continuity in government, then you go for the pure, which is you can have the premier for as long as he has the majority in the House. That's longer than the 2,000 days.
That's where my heart is, actually. But I just want to see the sentiment of our people, because, you know, we have been so used to electing a president. Let's see. Maybe with more explanation, more discussions with them, maybe we can really show them, because a pure parliamentary system will give us a leader that's really working. That to me is ideal, actually.
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
Secretary, what would you say to the skeptics who say that it doesn't really matter? I mean, so long as we have the same political dynasties lording over Philippine politics, all you will have really is a change in the system, but the characters will remain the same.
Well, depends on how we build parties and how we take that seriously. Right now, and you see, let's probably define a little bit what we mean by political dynasty. I think the really harmful political dynasty is when a family decides to make governing the nation as their business. That's where they get their money, and you see that an entire family, before you only say husband and wife, then suddenly you have all the brothers, the sisters, and now even the apos. Tuloy-tuloy na. And then, when you see that they are not doing anything else except attempting to control a particular province or a particular city or town, and making it as their business, monopolizing politics in that particular part of the country, that to me is bad dynasty. But sometimes you cannot prevent one or two members of the same family to be occupying some positions in government. And they were there because they are competent, that they have not really engaged themselves in trying to control a particular unit in our elected officials. That, I think, can be corrected in the kind of political parties that we will form. I don't know. It's very difficult to think of the future when we look at our political parties today. That's why I was saying to our people in my own party, the Philippine Democratic Socialist Party, that let's not be like the other parties. But the other parties are not really parties. They're electoral machineries that normally surface during election time. Let's have real parties. So, if I would be in office, I will create institutes to train new politicians for our people. Let's see. I'm very weak in the polls. Sometimes there's really this feeling of discouragement. But, never mind that. What is important is I go to the people, group by group. I don't go for those huge rallies. What you see, there is noise and music and all of that. But there's really no dialogue that happens with our people. But when you do, especially with our young people, there seems to be a redirection in the sentiment of our people today. You remember charter change, for example. In the recent past, at least three presidents away, the charter change has become a very dirty word. We don't like to hear charter change. We always connect it with the president wanting to stay longer. That is why our people never really like this. But today, I'm very surprised. Everybody accepts charter change. Especially when Dr. Carlos started writing about it. He has a very big following, by the way. And when he said, charter change, parliamentary system, wow. This is something different happening among our people today. They're beginning to accept it.
Secretary Gonzales, for starters, would you consider a bill and certify it as urgent on turncoatism? Say 6 months before the elections, you cannot change parties. Would you consider that?
What I know of political parties, and what I know of authentic politicians, changing parties is a matter of life and death. You know, it's just like changing a religion that you have been so used to since childhood. That to me is a real political party. Those to me are real politicians when they feel that way. I have hope. I have seen it in the eyes of our people today. They can be this kind of politicians. We can have this kind of political parties. It is the responsibility of us leading this nation to introduce these new ideas to our people. That's why turncoatism, I don't think we need a law. It's a commitment, like a religion. I have seen it in other countries, you know, changing parties in other countries. Pag may bumaliktad na pamilya, iniiyakan eh. It's just losing a member of the family. That to me, that's why ako, sabi ko nga, yung mga nag-change ng political parties, makikita ng taong bayan natin yan. Mahahalata yan.
Well, in the Philippine setting, political survival is more important than party loyalty. Would you say that is a correct statement? Now,
You know, political parties are really not in the equation of our politicians today. They don't care. You know, I was really a bit, I don't want to talk about other candidates, no? I was just surprised in that in this election suddenly, yung mga political parties na, sorry to say, I apologize, wala naman laman yun eh. Di ba? Hindi mo nga alam kung may direksyon, may ideology pa. You don't know. These political parties, I know. I recognize some of the political parties that are surfacing in this election today. These are campaign machineries. More attached to a particular person. Doesn't care about philosophy, ideology. Those are not stated at all. I have been waiting to hear, you know, philosophy of society, what kind of society shall we have, where are we going, what kind of economic direction should we have. I've been trying to hear these things. You know, I will confess, I really don't want to run in this election. You know, when you begin to be exposed into the myriad of problems that we are facing, it's kind of difficult to imagine yourself being there in Malacanang. Very difficult.
So since you don't want to really run in the elections, as you say, what is it that you want people to realize about you, or what is the message you want to convey, if that is the more important agenda in your campaign?
Well, to me, it's less of me. You know, I was unfortunately exiled for 4 years in Europe during the dictatorship. I saw how politics, you know, is practiced in the most advanced countries, the most humane societies in the world. You see the kind of politicians they have. They really don't talk about themselves. You don't know who are their children, their wives, nothing. They talk about ideologies. They talk about policies. They talk about analysis of what's going on in the world, what's going on in their countries, what is happening to their people. This is the discussion I encountered in Europe. You know, I was very thankful to Marcos because he chased me, forced myself to be exiled in Europe for 4 years. And my God, what have I seen there politically? You're asking me why I'm running today. I think this is the first opportunity I have that I can more or less tell our people there's another way of politicking. I remember a friend from Sweden. He told me, the way you campaign will determine or show how you will govern. To me, I take that very, very seriously. That is why the way I'm campaigning will already show how we will govern, how social democrats will attempt to make a better future for our people.
So, again, sorry.
It's okay.
Last. Since you say that you're reluctant to run and you're frustrated by what you see, would there be any other candidate that you think will deserve your endorsement or support in the campaign?
Hirap sagutin niya. mahirap talaga. I was asked a similar question. Sabi niya, sino ba kalaban mo? Sabi ko, you know, when I was filing my candidacy, I declared that the reason why I'm campaigning is because during my almost a decade in office, I have observed that our political system and the way we behave in our campaigns, the kind of politicians we have, this is really what hinders us from moving forward as a people, as a nation. This is what is hindering us to be a better nation, to be more advanced. Our politicians. You see, I feel very bad about this because during my 9-10 years in office, I have gone around the country. I have met many politicians, you remember, we're in the Congress, we're meeting all local presidents. We have very bright people in the local government, in the houses of Congress, bright, well-educated, sons and daughters of prominent families. You meet them, you talk to them. Wow, they're very good people. They're very intelligent. But then when they engage in our politics, they rob our country, they fool our people, they cheat. Why? This is what I'm saying. Why do I want to change the political culture and system of our politics? Because if you have very bright young people entering our politics and destroying, in fact, they're destroying them. Why are we not changing this system? We have to change the system. Otherwise, we will never see the kind of leaders that we need. Tapos sana yung system, yung bang when you enter it, lalo ka nagmamahal sa bayan, lalo mong iniisip ko anong gagawin para sa lipunan, yung nai-encourage ka. In fact, I'm now afraid that our politicians are failing in making us feel love of country. Very fundamental, very important. Then I was asked, sa tingin niyo ba yung mga inchik mas nagmamahal sa bayan nila kaysa sa atin? Because I was asking, hindi naman. Hindi naman. Sabi ko, palagay ko, yung ating mga namumuno sa lipunan, ang ating mga politiko, hindi binibigyan ng pagkakataon ng ating sambayanan para ipamalas ang pagmamahal sa bayan. Because we never really talk about it, nor discuss about it, nor challenge our people to love their country. We don't.
Secretary Gonzales,
I'm sorry, I'm becoming emotional.
we appreciate that
Sorry.
show of raw emotions. Diba? Kakaiba naman yung genuine flow of concern for our country. And speaking of your concern for our country, your dream is for the Philippines to become a first world country.
Yes.
Ngayon, meron po ba kayong bansa na gusto nyong i-emulate ng Pilipinas sa pagiging first world country? Kasi iba, ang mga first world countries din, iba-iba din ang kanilang kalagayan. So para sa inyo, sino pong bansa yung napupusuan ninyo na pwedeng tularan ng Pilipinas?
The Nordic countries. I am admirer of Nordic countries. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland. I don't know. This kind of first world country, I remember bringing Busakino. If you remember Busakino, the brother of former our martyr, I brought him to Sweden. And we were invited by the Foreign Affairs Minister to have dinner in her house. She's a woman. So we went. And we knocked at the door. And then suddenly there's a woman there opening the door with her apron. Said, please, please, please come in. She's the foreign minister, and she's washing her dishes and preparing the table for the two of us. And I saw the shock in the face of Boots. And she said, come on, come on, come on. Hey, Boots, help me. We prepared the table. The simplicity. That's why Boots, immediately, alam mo sabi niya, Bert, when we go home, I want to be a Soktem. Just because of this show of simplicity. You know that Olof Palme of Sweden was murdered in the street of Stockholm because he escaped his guards, brought his wife to a movie. She was murdered. He was murdered because he left his bodyguards. They're simple people. You know, I saw ministers riding trains. You know, I don't know, the Swedes told me, the Norwegians told me, you know, someday you might become head of state in your own country. Said, you know, we want you to see, we want you to learn. You know, parliament, for example, in these countries is not full-time. Only so many times in a year do they meet. They have their own jobs, they're ordinary people. But to review and to make laws, they assemble. And, you know, you will be amazed at this is what I have admired, the simplicity of these people. You know?
Secretary Gonzales, I think I can relate to you kasi I have lived in Europe for over a decade. At ang parte kasi ng kultura na yan is, you know, the rich and the poor intermingle. And then sabi nga namin na if you're in the Nordic countries and even in the Netherlands, you wouldn't know who is rich or poor by just simply looking at them. Kasi they mix in the same public places, they almost eat in the same restaurants, etc. So sa inyong palagay po, paano natin, kasi gusto nyo maging parang Sweden tayo, na kung saan ang mayaman at mahirap ay walang social cleavage ba?
You see,
Ano yung sa tingin yung pwedeng gawin ng Pilipinas para magkaroon ng ganoong kultura na kung saan ang mahirap at mayaman ay hindi magkahiwalay ng ginagalawan sa lipunan?
you know, this is one of the most popular ideas. You know, I go to our people now consulting, going to the all kinds, and I test the kind of programs we will adopt. One of the most popular, and I'm telling my colleagues in the campaign, please, if you can adopt this, good, because we need this to happen in our country, especially those baka manalo. You see, I said, you know, when we look at our educational system, for example, this is where this societal divide in our country is most evident. Sabi ko, yung pagkakahiwalay ng mayaman at mahirap is very evident in our educational system. We have an educational system for the rich, and we have an educational system for the poor. I said, why can't we have a common standard? Rich, poor. Pareho lang ang standard. I'm glad you're here. Because I will consult you. Yes, because we talked about this last time, remember? Yung, anong tawag dito sa Constitution? Yung
Complementarity.
Yeah, complementarity. This is very important in our Constitution. We will talk to our private sector and public sector. Kasi sa private sector, baka kulang na ng pera. Di, baguhin natin batas, bigyan natin ng pera yung private sector sa education para tumaas ang standard. Yung public, wala tayong problema dyan. It's a matter of really determining how important education is to us. Itataas mo na, ile-level mo yung funding ng dalawa. And then, I would want to see public educators and private. Dr. Carlos, you have to be there. Wag ka munang mamamatay. I'm sorry.
Bert,
you know, you have...
They're only educators. You know, what is it? The adjective private and public really should not apply to educators. They're just involved in the philosophy of learning. But yes, not to rain on your parade, I wish we were Sweden. But Sweden has only ilang piraso lang sila doon, no? And we are 110 million piraso.
Yeah.
So I wish you were more Machiavellian because I really love the future that you are designing for us.
Well, I have a Dr. Palafox in the audience. For example, we discussed one time, we discussed Singapore. Dr. Palafox is dreaming of several Singapores in the country. Sabi ko, yes, let's have regional autonomy so that we can have better administration.
Yeah.
Sabi ko, yung mga region na yan, lalagyan ni Dr. Palafox yan ng Singapore cities. Then we can manage properly. Di ba? It's a matter of design. It's a matter of... kaya kailangan, pinaka-importanting puntos dito is once and for all, our decision makers make a determined, deliberate decision to remove this divide between rich and poor when it comes to education. We should love our children, think of their future. We give them one standard of education. That's first move. What is the second move? The second move is, for example, I was thinking maybe we can ask our ambassadors now, hey, where you are assigned, determine, look for the best university you can find in that country. We will ask that they recommend it to us. We will relate, we will make agreements, memorandum of agreements to all the best universities you can find in the world. We will bring it here. Unless we give our young people the best education you can find in the world, we cannot dream of becoming first world. We cannot dream of becoming first world. Let's accumulate all the knowledge that the world can give. Let's do this. And then, alam niyo yung pinaka-popular, pag nahandan ako sa mga squatters area, ang sinasabi ko, sino ang mga magulang dito? Sino ang mga lola, mga lolo? Sabi ko, itong ginagawa natin, yung iniisip natin para sa ating mga kabataan, this will be very expensive for government. But why not? Why not? This is our future. Kayong mga magulang, kayong mga lolo at lola, meron kayong assignment. Meron kayong assignment. Hindi yung tumutulong sa homework, ha? Hindi yan. Meron kayong assignment. What is that? You must supervise your children. Yung mga lola at lola, lalo yung mga stricto, must supervise our young people. Tell them, mag-aral kayong mabuti. Hindi biro itong ginagawa ng pamahalaan natin ngayon for you. Study well, and in everything you do, aspire for excellence. Lagi, kung pwede kayong lahat, sana lahat magiging valedictorian, sabi ko, pero hindi pwede. Hindi pwede yan, but this is it. This is one
Thank you,
move.
Secretary Gonzales.
Sorry.
We'll have to interrupt you for now, but I think as Filipinos, we all share the same dream of having a first world country for the Philippines.
Karen,
we'll be
just
back.
1 minute because
Yeah.
we will lose momentum when
But
I raise the
Secret-
question after.
Professor Carlos will be back because I have been getting 3 notices already of needing a commercial break.
Okay, but let's not forget that. Now
yes,
we get back.
definitely. It's good we're leaving at the cliffhanger. So don't leave us. For all of you viewers out there, we'll be back at the Deep Probe SMNI presidential interviews.